Welcome to day 18 of our school year. Okay. Let's get down our beginning fraction. Our total amount of school days is 180. So that's our denominator. Our numerator is 18. Let's look at our numerator of 18 and decide is it prime or composite. If I look over on my prime number sieve, it is not circled. Also, any even number other than 2 is going to be composite. So we know it's composite because it's even. It automatically has more than 2 factors because 2 will be a factor. So that means we have to do our prime factorization of both 180 and 18. Okay, so I'm going to use my prime numbers. If you've forgotten what they are, you can always put down your first 5 prime. They're right on the other side of the page. But 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. We'll start with those to help us out. So for 180, it's even, so I can divide by 2. Half of 180 is 90. I could divide by 3. 3 groups of 3 in 9, and then our placeholder. I can do 3 again. 3 times 10. I keep going until this bottom number is prime. Then half of 10 is 5. 5 is prime, so we've gotten to the bottom. We're done there. Now for 18, it's even, so I can divide by 2. I get 9. 9 is composite, so I keep going. I can divide by 3, and I get 3. So here, 2 times 3 times 3, 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. We're going to write our prime factorization. Always least to greatest. So we're getting down all the factors of 180, prime factors I should say, and all the prime factors of 18. Now let's see what factors we have in both. Well, it looks like we have 2 times 3 times 3 as our common factors. And then 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 is 18, so our greatest common factor is 18. That means we're going to be left with 1 in the numerator and then 2 times 5 in the denominator. 2 times 5 is 10, so we should get 1/10 as our fraction. But let's prove it with our model. So let's make groups of 18. Remember, it doesn't matter what your groups look like, just as long as there's 18 in each group. And you don't mix the shaded with the unshaded. So I'm using my decomposition to help me to make my groups of 18, because 4 plus 10 is 14, plus 4 more is 18. 6 plus 10 plus 2 is 18. If you need to count each square, that still works, but it's better to use understanding of numbers if possible. Use that logic and recognizing patterns. Not mathematical practice. So there's all our groups of 18. So let's count up how many total groups of 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total groups of 18. And we have 1 group shaded in. 1/10 is one of those that we can write as a per, which means through or through, cent. Cent means, always means 100. We can get 100 by multiplying both by 10. So 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. Well, that can be written as 10 hundredths, which can be written as 1/10, and can be written as 10 per 100, or 10 per cent. So we have 90% of our school year left, but let's go ahead and prove it with our algorithm. So we divided both the shaded area and the whole thing by groups of 18. These always have to be the same number. So let's go ahead and do our area model for 180. Let's see, 10 times 180, well, every place is 10 times greater, so the placeholder goes in the ones and everything moves over a place. Number's the same, zero's the game. Oh, that was easy. So that means my quotient is 10. Okay, and then 18. 1 times 18 is 18. Number's the same. Zero's the game. And that one's done as well. So we still need to check, which is your divisor times your quotient plus your remainder. Divisor times quotient plus remainder. Since our remainder is 0, though, and the identity property of addition says it's going to stay the same, I don't need to actually add the 0 because it's going to stay the same. Here I'm multiplying 10, and every place is 10 times greater, so these are each going to move. This is going to move from the tens to the hundreds. This is going to move from the ones to the tens, and then we have our placeholder. So this always has to hold that place for the ones, and then everything else moves over. And right here we have the identity property of multiplication that says when you multiply by 1, it stays the same. Let's see, 180, that matches my dividend. 18 matches my dividend, so they both check. And my fraction is definitely 1/10. All right, let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. All right, I hope you had a good day off yesterday. Trimester 1, week 5. Today is 9/3/19. We have a few things to fill in here, so try to write kind of small. Our fraction for today is 1/10, which is the same as 10 hundredths, which is the same as 1/10, which is the same as 10% of the school year. So we have completed 10% of the school year, and we have 90% to go. Let's go ahead and get out your number line. We did groups of 18. So groups of 18, completed our first one. So this is 1/10. So there's 10 sections. We've completed the first out of the 10. Okay, we have an equivalent fraction in our 9s, in our 6s, in our 3s, in our 2s, and then here are 18 out of 180. So they're all equivalent. These are all common factors, but our greatest common factor was 18. Okay, let's go ahead and put your number line away, erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.